Concrete fox.
No more love and flowers. Lady Madonna, cheering at your feet. Wonder how you managed to make ends meet. Now who finds the money when you pay the rent? Did you think that money was heaven sent? Friday night arrived without no suitcase. Sunday morning creeping like a nun. Monday child had learned to tie his bootlace. See how they run. Lady Madonna, baby's at your breast. Wonder how you managed to feed the rest. See how they run. Lady Madonna, lying on the bed, listen to the music playing in your head. Tuesday afternoon is never ending. Wednesday morning paper didn't come. Thursday night your stocking needing mending. See how they run. Lady Madonna, cheering at your feet. Wonder how you managed to make it meet.
Good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome to No More Love and Flowers, issue number 4. I'm the one they call the Concrete Fox, amongst other things, twat usually, and you've just been listening to Fats Domino and his version of the Beatles' Lady Madonna, which for my money is far superior to the original version, and that's not the last time you're going to hear me say that over the course of the next hour. Because this is the covers version, an hour of music picked from my record box featuring many tunes by people other than those who made them famous. Not exclusively, I should add. My original intention was to have a whole hour of cover versions, but I found that annoyed me because it got in the way of other stuff I wanted to play. So we're going to intersperse it with other also excellent stuff, and naturally there'll be all the usual shenanigans and exclusive content, fun and japes that you've rightly come to expect, and badges. More about the badges later. But first, this was meant to be in last month's show, but it got squeezed out, so I'm just jolly well going to squeeze it right back in again.
Saga Waka.
Ugga, bugger, sugga wugga. Some kind of trendy shoes, I suspect. That's the Bar-Kays and Sock Soul on the Stax label with horns that are so good they make my pants flutter. Before that, as I said, Fats Domino, and whoever produced that Fats Domino track, if they're still alive, I want to make an album with them. Every single little thing about the production on that track is perfect. Go back and listen to it again and see if you don't agree with me. Prior to that, you heard the Housemartins take on Elmore James' Pickin' the Blues, a tune which I seem to have heard somewhere before, but I can't quite place it. The Housemartins' Norman Cook, now of course a resident of Hove, famous locally for his legendary Big Beat boutique nights at the Concord, one of which, after getting very drunk at the queue outside, I accused him of making me wait too long, told him he looked like my mate Roger, poured beer into his monitor, and then went to sleep under one of his speakers. Nowadays, of course, those hedonistic days are long behind me. I restrict myself to racking up lines of Snatterton at the 50-plus coffee mornings. Now, the perfect track to play here, to tie it all together, would be the version of Kraftwerk's Radioactivity, which I have by Fatboy Slim, but I'm not going to play that for the simple reason that it's fucking terrible. So instead, here's The Fall. Or is it?
Gains on me.
Unmistakably the Cocteau Twins and their dark and scary take on a dark and scary song, Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit. And spoilers, that won't be the last time you hear Liz Fraser tonight, which is a nice thought, isn't it? I've got a robin who lives in my garden, by the way, called Guthrie. I'll have to see if I can get him to sing for you. He might do. He's a very singy bird. Never met such a singy bird. Before the Cocteau Twins, you heard the Creeping Nobodies, Not the Fool, and a very credible, not to mention brave, romp through Wings, one of the Fool's finest tracks. None of the Creeping Nobodies live in my garden, by the way, not so far as I know. It is a bit overgrown up the top, I suppose. Anyway, it's time now, my friends, for this.
Comfy chair.
Comfy chair?
Comfy chair. Comfy chair. Comfy chair. Comfy chair. Comfy chair.
Yes, it's this month's Concrete Comfy Chair. Time for you to kick your shoes off, wiggle your toes, light a joint, or pour a scotch, or whatever's your fancy. Both, I suppose, if you want. And let the cat get up on your lap, where it's been trying to get for the last quarter of an hour. Relax, and let the power of Numla soothe away all the cares of your day, because you're worth it. More or less, apart from that thing you did. The one we don't talk about. Today's Comfy Chair comes to you courtesy of Italian musician and producer Luca Giovanardi, and the song you're about here is Leonard Cohen's Chelsea Hotel No. 2, although you may have to just take my word for that. Anyway, breathe out, let the power of Numla flow through you as you relax in the concrete comfy chair and drift off to a universe in which Leonard Cohen is a wise and timeless space alien the size of a small moon, floating endlessly between the stars and mumbling in an Italian accent.
Right.
Excellent. Don Knox Overdrive and Snowball from the marvellous We Are Not Devo LP, one of 2 Devo covers albums that I own, the other being a fantastic piece of plastic called Crack That Chip, which is a collection of Devo songs rendered in the form of 80s computer game music. Remind me to make you suffer a bit of that sometime. Before that, Luca Giovanardi and what I think we can all agree was a wonderfully ambient stumble through Leonard Cohen's Chelsea Hotel. Now, the time is approaching the half an hour of the clock, which means that random rotating non-specific competition win corner is bearing down on us like a steam train packed with coppers on a hapless toad, and with it some very exciting news, which I can hardly contain. But I will have to for the next 2.5 minutes anyway, because first, some more music. And for no reason at all other than it's almost painfully wonderful, this is Al Caiola and the Mod Squad theme. Doesn't come much better than that, does it? Al Caiola and the Mod Squad theme. Right, we're almost halfway through this month's gorgeous hour of loveliness, so it's time to talk about random rotating non-specific competition win corner. Last month, despite a magnificent play by Al Bridges coming up the outside like Harry Kane and posting a picture, nice touch, of the answer, which was Kevin Keegan, of course, within just a few hours of the podcast going live. Nevertheless, amazingly, he was pipped to the post by Mr. Dave Hopkins, who texted me within minutes. So Dave is our winner, which is all well and good because it's about time he won something. Well done, Dave, and I can excitingly now reveal that I have proper prizes to give away at last, to save me trying to think of something strange every month. Yes, proper prizes in the shape of what the real radio shows have. They have badges. That's right, badges. You thought Blue Peter badges were exclusive and sought after. You wait until the world gets to hear about these little babies. Proudly bearing the No More Love and Flowers blue rubber duck emblem and the legend I won random rotating non-specific competition win corner, in rather small writing it has to be said, these little beauties have all the social clout of a coveted pointless trophy and a blankety-blank checkbook and pen and a crackerjack pencil all rolled into one. So exciting, we're getting just like a real radio show. Think of me like Ken Bruce on acid. So, this month, well, in keeping with this month's covers theme, I've got a special competition for you, in that I've invited into the No More Love and Flowers studio a special guest from out of my garden. Yes, everybody, Captain Wasp is here. Thank you for coming in, Captain Wasp. Are you ready to go? He's nodding. Okay, so Captain Wasp has kindly agreed to come in out of my garden and perform for us a cover of an old song. And your simple task, dear listener, is just to identify the song that the captain is singing. Okay? Everybody ready? Yep. Captain Wasp, ready to go? Yep, he's nodding again. Okay, here we go then. Take it away, Captain Wasp.
Yes, I'm thinking of it. Yes, I am. For the town was the underground. Oh, would you Please hold on to the steering wheel. Carry with love, like
Yeah, that's enough. Thank you very much. There we go. Thanks a lot, Captain Wasp. There he goes. Off out of the window. Nope, that one's closed. Try that one. No, that one's closed as well. We could be here sometime. Can you tell what song Captain Wasp is singing, children? Original artist and song title, please, and you could win a badge. Badge? How exciting is that? Right, now, while I try and help Captain Wasp back into the garden, you lot can bugger off into the vast reaches of time and space. I want you all to grasp those little blue books you hide under your bed and say it with me. Where are you, Raggedy Dread? 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 Raggedy Dread?
From outer space.
The awesome Boo Radleys, officially the second most cruelly underrated band in the world, and Love's Alone Again Or. And before that you heard The Doctor. Yes, Dr. Pablo and the Dub Syndicate, and the theme, of course, from Doctor Who. And in the very unlikely event that Chris Chibnall is listening to this, that's what I'm talking about. Stuff Jodie Whittaker. If you want to really push the envelope and challenge everyone's expectations, then give us a Rasta Doctor. That would just probably be the coolest thing in the entire world. Can you imagine just how great that would be? The Doctor running around all over time and space with a big blunt, being really relaxed about everything. Coming up at some point over the summer, there will be a No More Love and Flowers Outer Space special, which I'm really quite excited about. I think that might be a dressing up issue, so I'll be expecting you all to be wearing your tinfoil hats to stop the alien radio signals from penetrating, just like I do. You can never be too careful. But right now, I think it's time for a little more Beatles, don't you?
He's a little nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere land, making all his nowhere plans for nobody. He doesn't have a point of view, knows not where he's going to. Isn't he a bit like you and me? Nowhere man, please listen, you don't know what you're missing. Nowhere man, the world, I'm Choco Man. He's as blind as he can be, just sees what he wants to see. Nowhere man, can you see me alone? Nowhere man, no worry, take your time. No hurry, leave it all to somebody else to lend your hand. He doesn't have a point of view, knows not where he's going to. Isn't he a bit like you and me? Nowhere man, please listen, you don't know what you're missing. Nowhere man, the world, I'm Choco Man. He's a little nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere land, making all his nowhere plan for nobody. Making all his nowhere plans for nobody. Making all his nowhere plans for nobody.
We'd had enough acid. It had done all it could do for us. You know, there was no going any further.
Oh yeah, got that sound there. I think I can live there. When I feel that sound there.
I was going to apologise for the scratchy vinyl noises there, but then I thought, no, I'm buggered if I will. Vinyl is king here at No More Love and Flowers, and not your love, Sade, disappointing as that must be to you. Our psychedelic spot for this month was the Moving Sidewalks and their version of I Wanna Hold Your Hand, and wasn't it good? And before that, Tsunamatsu Masatoshi, and 2.5 minutes during which all of my ESOL teacher friends climbed out of the window or repeatedly banged their heads on the table, going, no, it's not please listen, it's please listen, la 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 la, tongue on the roof of your mouth, la la la. Both versions there far superior to the Paul McCartney originals, and if you don't agree, then you're wrong, but don't worry, I still love you. Okay. If I may steal a catchphrase from my good friend the Dancing Monk, how many songs do you know that start with a bloke going, meow?
If you'd like to go, you could meet someone who really loves you. So you go and you stand on your own, and you leave on your own, and you go home and you cry and you want to die.
I've broken my own 8 out of 10 rule there. I played that not so much because it's particularly great, because it isn't, but more because on paper it ought to be the most unholy and terrible car crash known to man, and it isn't. It's actually quite good, and it's quite good because despite everything, and by everything I mean refusing to do it for 6 months and then agreeing as long as they could change their name and pretend they were somebody else, they still managed to kind of own it. It's much better than you'd expect, put it that way. The name they chose, by the way, was Love Spit Love, which is quite possibly the worst band name anyone's ever come up with, so I'm not altogether sure it was a good idea. I'm certainly having none of it. You and I both know, not least because it's glaringly bloody obvious, that that was the Psychedelic Furs, performing the Smiths' How Soon Is Now from the soundtrack of The Craft, a film I've never seen, and please God, long may it remain that way. Now, earlier in the podcast I made 2 promises. One, that you would hear me say more than once that some of these covers were better than the original versions, and secondly, that we would be hearing again from Elizabeth Fraser of the Cocteau Twins. As we roll towards the end of this month's little street party, I'm now going to fulfil both of those promises at once. It's not easy to better an original version of a song, and that's particularly true when the original is itself a beautiful, delicate, virtually perfect piece of art. Let's take, for instance, Roy Harper's song Another Day, from the album Flat Baroque and Berserk, which is an almost painfully lovely piece of gossamer, a luscious acoustic moment which you'd think could barely be improved upon. And then again...
The kettle's on, the sun has come, another day. She offers me to bed and tea on a flower tree. She's at the door. She wants to start. She didn't mean to say I loved you a long time ago. In the arm where the winds don't forget me not blow. But I just can't let myself go. Not knowing what I know. The rest to know. I wish that I had, 'cause I'm feeling so sad. And that I never had one of your children. And across the road, inside a town, our chances waxed and waxed. The night's young, we're so high in each other's chest. I was taken and I was naked by the drops on ice, and I feel that just run as she flies. Run my wings under her thighs as the flames of eternity rise. Because with the first one, a lash of dawn, really my dear, I can see what we feel. Said I held ourselves in between. At the door, we can say more. Just another day without a sound. I'll turn around and I'll walk away.
For my money, that's one of the most gorgeous pieces of music ever committed to vinyl. This Mortal Coil featuring Liz Fraser on vocals. And that, sadly, brings us very near to the end of this issue of Numlath. It's been very difficult to put together, mostly choosing which tracks to include and which ones to leave out, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be back in a few weeks with the next issue, which will have a featured artist, just like number 2, but I'm not telling you who just yet, because I like to build up a little suspense in the lovely comforting world in my head where people actually listen to this and think these things important. So, just remains for me to say, I was the Concrete Fox, and this was No More Love and Flowers, a Who Wants Muffins production. I wish you all a very good night, or morning, or whatever, and I'm going to play you out in true psychedelic Abbey Road style with a final Beatles medley. You're about to hear, in reverse order, Brian Sewell, the Beatles Moog Orchestra, and first of all, and this is something I imagine many of you have been waiting for me to say for 3 months now, this is Devo.
Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl, but she changes from day to day. I want to tell her that I love her a lot, but I got a belly full of wine. Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl. Someday I'm going to make her mine. Oh, yeah, someday I'm going to make her mine, 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 mine.